Okay, class. So now we look at a partial derivative of a function of three or more variables. So this means that a partial derivative with the function which involving more than two variables. Okay. All right. So look at this one. The concept of a partial derivative can be extended naturally to functions of three or more variables. So let W is a function of x, y, and z. Then there are three partial derivatives, each of which is formed by holding two of the variable constant. So the partial derivative can be written as, so partial derivative respect to x on W, it is about changes of x. Okay, so changes of x, it is approaching to 0. And derivative respect to y, so it is involving changes of y approaching to 0. And the last one, partial derivative respect to z on W, it is about limit changes of z. Okay, where z is changes of z, it is approaching to 0. So these are the definition for the partial derivative respect to x, y, and z for the given functions, where the function involving three variables. Okay, so this means that bila kita ada function yang melibatkan tiga variable, so maknanya kita ada three parts of derivative. Okay, so apakah part derivative tu? Ialah partial derivative respect to x, y, and z. Okay, so when we want to differentiate respect to x, so y and z remain as a constant. So maknanya dekat sini bila you nak differentiate respect to x, so y dan juga z dia akan jadi constant. Okay, so when we want to differentiate respect to y, so x and z remain as a constant. Okay, so it is similar as a derivative respect to z. So x and y remain as a constants. Okay. Alright, so maknanya dekat sini kalau kita ada tiga variable, so maknanya kita ada dua constants. It is based on the which variable that you need to differentiate. Okay. Alright, so look at this example, example 5. So example 5, finding partial derivative. So based on this example, it is about a function which involving three variables, x, y, and z. So that we need to find a partial derivative respect to x, y, and z. Okay, so look at A. So A, we have this function, which is xy plus yz squared plus xz. Okay, so we differentiate respect to x. So bear in mind, y and z remain as a constant. So we concern on the x only. Okay, so y dan juga z itu dia akan jadi constant. Kita fokus kepada x. Okay, so look at this one. We differentiate respect to x on xy plus yz squared plus xz. So for the first term, we differentiate respect to x. So derivative respect to x on xy, we have y. Okay. Mana yang tak berapa ingat, so derivative respect to xy, it is equivalent with y. Okay, so x power dia akan jadi kurang lah. So 1 minus 1, we have a 0. So that's why we have 1 here. Okay, so next, we differentiate respect to s on yz squared. So yz is a constant. Y and z are constant. So here we have a 0. And derivative respect to x on xz, so we differentiate respect to x on xz, we have a z. Okay, so this one, derivative respect to x on xz, it is z. So this is why we have this answer, which is a partial derivative respect to x on xy plus yz squared plus xz, it is equivalent with y plus z. Okay. Alright, so next we differentiate respect to y. So x and z remain as a constant. Okay, so we focus on y. So for the first term, we differentiate respect to y on xy. So here we have x. And this one, y z squared. So here we have a z squared. And for the last one, derivative respect to y on xz. So xz are constant. So here we have 0. Okay, so therefore, the answer here is x plus z squared. Okay. Okay, so last one, we differentiate respect to z on the given function, which is sy plus y squared plus xz. So x, y remain as a constant. Okay, so we focus on z. So differentiate respect to z on the first term here. We have this one sy are constant, so we have 0. And the second term, we differentiate respect to z on yz squared. So this one we have 2yz. Okay, so 2yz. And the last one, we differentiate respect to z on xz. We have z. Okay, we have x. Sorry, we have x. Therefore, the answer here is 2yz plus x. Okay, so this is the answer. Alright, so for B, we have this function, which is z sine s squared xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so for the first one, we need to differentiate respect to x on z sine of xy squared plus 2z. So xy squared plus 2z, angle for sine. Okay, angle for sine. Alright, so next we differentiate respect to x on this one. Okay, so z remain as a constant, z and y. So here we differentiate respect to sine. We have a cosine. Ada negatif kat sini should be negative cosine. Negative cosine xy squared plus 2z. And next, this one, z squared y, zy squared. It is about derivative respect to x on xy squared plus z. So inside here, yang ini, you kena differentiate jugalah, differentiate respect to x on xy squared plus 2z. So that's why we have y squared. Okay, so kita dapat y squared. So z is still there sebab z is a constant. So bila darab untuk constant, dia akan di situ sajalah, dia tak pergi ke mana-mana. Okay, right, so actually the answer here is negative zy squared cosine of xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so this is the answer. All right. Okay, so next we differentiate respect to y on z sine xy squared plus 2z. So differentiate respect to y, x and z remain as constant. Okay, bear in mind x and z are constant. So we focus on y. Okay, so z is a constant. So biarkan dekat situ sebab dia darab. So we differentiate respect to y on sine. We differentiate respect to y on sine xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so first differentiate for sine. Bila you differentiate respect to sine xy squared plus 2z, so we have negative cosine xy squared plus 2z. And then multiply with the derivative respect to y for this function yang kat dalam ni, which is xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so here we have a negative cosine xy squared plus 2z multiply with the derivative respect to y on this function. Then here we have 2xy. Okay, 2xy. So therefore, we have this answer, which is 2xyz cosine of xy squared plus 2z. Okay. Okay, for the last one, derivative respect to z. So respect to z, so this means that x and y remain a constant. So x, y akan jadi constant. So we focus on z. Alright. So untuk part yang ini, since we have z multiplied with sine xy squared plus 2z squared, so here we use product rule. So product rule ni biasa kita akan gunakan bila ia melibatkan variable yang ada product ataupun multiplication. Okay, so dia ada dua function dekat situ. So untuk yang ini dia ada function z and the other one is a sin sy squared plus 2z. So this one is a second function. Okay, right, so we use product rule. So this is a product rule, u v prime plus v u prime. Okay, so I elaborate dekat sini. So let u, katakan u ini adalah z. And then our v here is a sin xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so we differentiate respect to z. We differentiate respect to z on the given function, which is z sin xy squared plus 2z. It is equivalent with u v prime. So our u here is z v prime derivative respect to x on sin xy squared plus 2z. Okay, and then plus with v u prime. So v here is a sin xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so multiply with the derivative respect to x on x derivative u v u prime. Derivative respect to x on z. Bukan derivative respect to x, derivative respect to z. Sorry, derivative respect to z. Okay, so you akan dapat jawapannya z. Okay, multiply with this one, derivative respect to z on sin sy squared, you akan dapat sin, you akan dapat cosine. So z multiply with cosine xy squared plus 2z. Okay, so multiply with the derivative respect to z on this function, which is 2. Okay, 2. Okay, you differentiate respect to z on sy squared plus 2z. You akan dapat 2 kat situ. Okay. Alright, this one.